So welcome, and here we are back at Vinery Allotments on our food garden, and it is September the 15th, approaching autumn. We've had a really good season and we're still harvesting crops. We've had some really hot weather, and today it's quite misty and cool and great for working. So I want to just show you the result of our cucumber patch through here. We'll see that we produced nice big crops, lots of cucumbers. So many that we couldn't eat them all or give them away. All this material now goes on the compost heap. All the weeds and the leftover cucumber material. And notice that we've got lots of weeds on here because we didn't cover the ground with that fabric. Over here we've got ground that has been covered in the fabric, this weed suppressant, so all this is ready to perhaps dig over and ready to plant next season. Our big huge, what are these plants? These are marrows, aren't they? Courgettes. Look at these courgette plants. We've harvested all the courgettes, and all this goes on the compost heap. It looks massive, but in fact most of it is water. But that really does need to go on the compost heap to produce our compost to make nutrients for next season's crops. Next I want to show you this bed here, a bed of cabbages. Huge plants ready to harvest. Also next in line, leeks. You could eat these, but we'll leave them for a few more months. We will be harvesting leeks all through the winter and next spring. But to the cabbage bed ready for harvesting, if we remove the cover, the net, to prevent butterflies flying in, you remember, and laying their eggs on the cabbage, that means we don't have to spray a poison on these plants. That's very effective. The weed suppressant fabric has been really good and saved us a lot of work. Just one or two weeds growing underneath. But we will now dig up this enormous prize giant cabbage. I don't think I can pull it up, so I'll put a spade underneath there. Like that. See if I can lift it. And hey presto, there we've got actually quite a small root for such a big plant. What we do next is remove these outer leaves. Like that. That's that one. And this, of course, can be chopped up and eaten now, but we can actually store this and it will remain fresh for quite a long time, probably months, if we hang it up in a net. This net this net is too small for this giant cabbage. Or is it? No, it goes in, right. So we take that to a place which is dry, dark and cool, the allotment shed. One last thing to show you or think about is these plants and how they grow. So these plants are making food in their leaves, and they need water, sunshine and warmth, but they also need nutrients. Very simple mineral salts which they collect from the soil through their roots. These nutrients, N, P and K, nitrate, phosphate, potassium, vital. Some people call this plant food. It's not really. It's the plants that are making food. These nutrients are very simple chemicals. We produce them using compost, and in a moment I'm going to show you how we make our own fertilizer, our own nutrients using Comfrey. And further down the path to my left, a bed of squash plants. There we go, almost ready to harvest. That variety, the asparagus you remember from last time, still growing well. And to my right, another squash bed with these massive fruits, that variety, another type there, I've forgotten the names of these, a smaller type which is actually ready to take. Okay, so to the Comfrey bed. Comfrey is a special plant that grows very, very quickly, produces lots of leaf with lots of protein in the leaf. It's ideal for cutting down, putting it on the soil as a mulch that rots down and supplies NPK, remember? Or another way is to actually rot it down in water. It produces a liquid that we can apply to the soil, especially when plants are growing and they need these NPK nutrients. I'll just take one of these plants just to show you one of the reasons why they're very useful. You can see this will be the third time I've taken leaves off this bed of Comfrey. So we're going to today take off all that growth and use it for a green manure. So what I'm talking about next really is the root structure. You see these are very thick, massive roots. It's very hard to actually dig the whole thing out. That root there will grow down into the soil as much as 2 meters, really deep down. So it accesses water in the dry part of the season, and it accesses and gets hold of these vital minerals that the plant needs. The minerals are taken up from deep in the soil and used in the leaves to make to make food, carbohydrates and protein. So we're now going to take a cutting of the Comfrey leaves from this bed. I'll show you how we make this special, very nutritious plant treatment. Right, next, very useful tool, the bush knife or machete, a glove, because Comfrey are covered in spiky hairs, and we simply find the base of the plant, okay, and whack into there. You must be accurate in your blow with a machete and not take your hand off. So we do this on the whole bed. Like that, right down to the base of the plant. And at this time of year, these will start growing new shoots, new leaves, so it'll be okay for the plants to continue throughout the winter. So here we are where we make the Comfrey liquid and where we make compost. Got a barrel load of Comfrey cuttings, a big bucket, not a big bin rather. And I'm not going to mess about, just very simply put all the cuttings and pack them into the bin tight. So from that bed we might be able to get perhaps 2 bins of Comfrey mix. The other option is just to take this and place it straight onto the ground around plants, for instance around the raspberries, and just build up a mulch around the plants, a good thick layer. That's probably the simplest option of all. However, back to this method, once that's filled up tight with the cuttings, we add water, lots of buckets of water to fill the bin right up to the top. Cover that, and you'll notice after a few weeks, if you take that lid off, the smell is something awful. It really is. So remove the cover with a bit of caution and be prepared for the smell of this decomposing, rotting comfrey material. But the product is, as I was saying, fantastic. The product is NPK in solution, as good as farmyard manure with added potassium. And here's a bin that's been fermenting and decomposing for about 3 months or so. Very simple technique. Take another bucket and just push it down. You don't have to get your hands into the mixture at all. I don't really need to wear gloves. I'm just taking almost a bucket load of the Comfrey mix, and you can see it's a nice dark colour. This is not a very concentrated mix. It's and also the rotting has completed, so it's not that smelly at all. I'm going to take this over to stage 3, which is actually to make a mixture and apply it to soil around plants which are growing, plants which are making food that need this NPK for making fruits, such as that apple tree over there, such as the leeks over there, and that will be the final stage. Okay, and here's the last stage. I've got a barrow of water here. There's about 5 buckets of water in the barrow. I'm going to add almost a bucket load of the Comfrey mix. Look at that. Isn't that delightful? Not too smelly. A super little well-worn spade, well-used spade, and that acts as a paddle to give it a mix. So we've got the right concentration of the Comfrey mixture. As a special addition, just to make sure, I'm going to add some NPK and other minerals from Fostrogen, which they call a plant food. I'd rather not use the word food because it's the plants that make the food. So these are plant nutrients, NPK, and I've got that amount for 5 bucket loads of water sprinkled into the water. So it dissolves. These are simple chemicals, simple mineral salts that the plant leaves need to manufacture, carbohydrates, proteins and oils and vitamins. So here we've got our mixture of nutrients, and we'll take some watering can full and apply it to where it's needed most. Here, this apple tree, the leaves are making food and they are producing a massive crop. And at this time of year, the leaves are making sugars, sending the sugars into the apples, and to help that process, if we apply our nutrients to the soil around the roots, we'll probably get a better crop. And also I'm thinking that this apple tree, will be making buds for next season. so the application of nutrients at this stage will probably boost its production of flowers for next season. That, though, I'm not sure of, but I do know that last year this tree had hardly any flowers and hardly and no fruit at all. This year it seems to go in alternate years. This year a bumper crop. I'm just wondering, thinking now, if we apply nutrients and water at this point, we might be able to produce a similar crop next year. Just thinking about this right now, notice this elaborate structure here. That's needed to support the huge weight of apples on these relatively thin branches. The branches are weighed down so much that here and there they break off. There's one broken there and at the top. So there is another method of making sure you don't lose a crop like that, and that is, you know, pruning off the long branches. Or if this was growing next to a wall, you'd have it growing up against the wall and you'd tie the branches in. Anyway, this is a simple technique really of having a support there and there, a cord there and there to keep the branches from breaking. And finally, on this visit, let's have a look at the Polytunnel. And we have green peppers. We have red hot chili peppers down here. Some salad crops lower down. Let's have a look at the size of these green peppers. We're cropping from here all the time. Here's a plant at the back which is really well laden. There's 3 really good fruits on that one. The other crop in here is aubergine or eggplant. They're quite small, we're not sure why. Maybe they need a bit more room and a place on their own. But we've been taking quite a lot of these fruits and using them, but they seem to be quite small. They grow a little bit bigger than that. So, Polytunnel, a huge success, a great hit. So, well, that about does it for September the 15th, this visit, and possibly next time we might be in the dead of winter, freezing cold, a dusting of snow, and picking winter produce, leeks and carrots and other vegetables. Parsnip. Parsnip. I've forgotten the parsnip. So, see you then.